To Mayor Flags, Chief Moore, Deputy Chief Jones, to the men and women of the Vicksburg Police Department, and to my family and friends, I am overwhelmed with emotions that I stand before you today. I thank God for this opportunity to be here on this day, at this time, February 24th, Black History, Vicksburg history. And I celebrate my memories this day. I think back, as it started out as to say, first of all, Officer Joe Minor was the first to be hired. And after that, Officer Roosevelt Bunch was hired. And they worked together. And when they were hired, Chief Moore was saying, they were put in these different areas to where they could write in it, couldn't arrest any white people, and they couldn't give any tickets or anything like that. And after that, they would be put in other sections of the city. And so after they left that, they would have to go downtown and shake doors and see that any of the merchants leaving the doors open, because sometimes people would be closed up and they would forget and leave the doors open, and they would check the doors and check that. And also, they didn't have a patrol car, because when arrests would be made, they would have to call for a unit to come pick the person up that had committed the crime or whatever. And so after that, a while, they finally got them a patrol car, which was car number 4. And car number 4 was the all over car. It ran the whole town. And so now you had 4 cars, but now you had car 1, car 2, car 3, and car 4. But car 1 was the captain's car, which was in charge because he was the captain. Car 2 was your north end car. Car 3 was the south end car. And car 4 was the car that Officer Minor and Officer Bunch was using. And so that's the way it worked. And so they worked on for a while, and later on, Officer Herman Billy Reddick was hired. And so they had to kind of start changing the shifts then, because they had to put him on another shift, but he still was gonna be in car number 4. And somebody else would be working with him in car number 4, because he was gonna be working with the blacks. And so that's the way that worked like that. And so that worked on a while. And so after a while, Officer Tom Harris and myself was hired. But Officer Tom Harris, he couldn't leave his job because he was working for Noble's Cleaners. And he had to give a 2-week notice because he didn't want him to leave for 2 weeks. So I left 2 weeks ahead of him, and that's why I was working 2 weeks ahead. But after he came, that's when we split up, and I was working with Officer Joe Minor, and Officer Tom Harris was working with Officer Roosevelt Bunch. And so we were working 2 different shifts, but it still would be to where we would be working in car number 4. It would be like, if I'm working it would be 3 different shifts. Like I say, it would be 4 to 12, 12 to 8, and 8 to 4. If I'm working 4 to 12, like Officer Minor and myself, then when we would get off, then that's when they would come on. And that's when they would be working. And when I would be working the morning time, I would have to be going up to the jailhouse sometime to pick up 2 inmates up there. And their names was, the 2 inmates' name was, one of them's name was